I always find it very interesting when the sun comes up as the advice, because it means whatever comes up is, we wouldn't need that advice if we were already doing that, right? Think about that. So when it comes up, I think I don't know, every time it comes up, I always get accused of not being very positive. Is the sun? Yeah, but it's coming up as your advice. Remember that. That means you're not doing it, or you wouldn't need to be told it. You'd be like, hey, it would come up in the present or at the heart of the reading. Now, I do like this. There's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of potential here in this situation. But why is it so difficult? And everyone's going to have a different answer to that. It is difficult. I'm not going to say that's all in your head, because we have the 10 of Wands. Now, it might be made more difficult by the stuff that's going on in your head, but starting off, underlying energy as we kick off for July, and it's the 4th of July today as I read this. Do you sit for your reading? This is a burden. This is, what the hell are you carrying around? It's so heavy. And it may have started off with fun and passion and excitement and, yeah, we're going to do this. And you were inspired to begin something. But at this point, all of that is long left behind. It's now we're at a place where it's just a burden. You know, you might have too much going on your plate. You're struggling under the weight of this. And maybe it's unfair. Maybe it's not your burden to just carry on your own. But unless you are carrying a burden. Now, I want to say this, and I'll be honest with you, this looks a lot like a relationship reading. A lot like a relationship reading, whatever the nature of that relationship is. The reason I'm saying that is we have the King and Queen of Cups coming up. That can be a partnership. It doesn't have to be, like I said, but it's a connection. And yes, it can even be one person that's going through the cycles of it, because the King of Cups can't come up twice, right? Or the Queen of Cups can't come up twice. But I'm not seeing it as that. I'm seeing as it's the potential in a situation. That's what the burden is. So either somebody they're going through some shit right now, and until they can drop that burden, they can't actually get into this new situation, which promises to bring a lot of happiness. But why is it, with the Ace of Cups, what do I always say? What's in your cup? What's in your cup? Because every great love story, any cycle that begins, it begins with us. So when the cycle of the Ace of Cups begins, and I used to be one of those readers that I thought this was a gift of love coming in, but the first person that gift of love is for is you yourself. So by looking in your cup and figuring out, well, how do I feel? But some of you are finding it even hard to look at what's in your cup. This feels very inconvenient. Let me put it that way. Whatever this connection is, whatever this relationship is, either the connection itself or what's going on around it is very inconvenient. It's very inconvenient. That might be because there's a connection and, the two people are involved in other situations. There might be someone's already involved in a relationship, or somebody's working on something else, or it doesn't even have to be. Say you're married, there could be shit going on at work that's affecting the relationship. So there's something going on here, and it's very inconvenient. That's the nicest way that I can put it, with that weight there. But you're being urged to look at what's in your cup. Where do you see the potential for happiness? How have you grown emotionally through this burden that you've carried? And are you coming into this situation with a full cup or with a empty cup? Because when you begin relationships or connect with people, or this could be spiritual growth. It doesn't even have to be anything to do with love and romance. Please don't get stuck on that. But when you go into any situation with an empty cup, what you're going to find is other people's empty cups too. So when you go with the full cup and you share from a full cup, that's what you get back from other people as well. How do we fill our cup? Self-love, self-care, honoring ourselves with the decisions that we make. This makes me happy. But there's a situation going on that, whether it makes you happy or not, it's a burden. Now, where you're stuck right now is this. So with the 8 of Swords coming up at the heart of this, there doesn't seem to be a lot going on. You may not be saying what your fears are. There may be no communication here with the 8 of Swords. And it's interesting in this one. Look, usually in the 8 of Swords, the person is blindfolded. But she's even got a stick in her mouth. Look, so she can't speak. She can't speak. Now, if she could wriggle, like usually we say the 8 of Swords, she's not tied to anything. She is tied to something. But this means that we can't make big changes at this time, but we can make small changes. We can make small changes. I'm getting very much the sense of that if I was talking to someone and they pull this spread and I said, well, okay, look, there's a new beginning you can have. It's something that makes you really happy. You're going to go for it. I would be given a laundry list of I can't because I need the money. I can't because of this. I can't because I don't know how they feel. I can't because I can't. That's what's coming up with this. And what do I always say? I will believe you. Whatever you say, your reason for why you can't, I will believe you. Because you are the scriptwriter, the narrator, the lead, the director of your film, of your story that you're doing. And yet this has got to be bloody frustrating where you can see that it's making you happy. Now, those of you that are stuck in a really shitty situation and still doing self-love and self-care, my hat goes off to you guys. Kudos to you guys. It's very difficult to do when we kind of feel like we have to keep pushing. 10 of Wands. Either you might have worked really hard for something, but that is very different energy. This is, oh my God, what the hell am I carrying around with me here? That needs to be dropped. And, if you drop it, there's happiness coming in here. But this is saying, I can't. So if you can't make big changes right now, can we make small changes? I'm almost getting the sense, especially, and I'll explain why when we get to the Two of Pentacles, that this might be you trying, you're trying to pay all the bills, you're trying to do everything, you're trying to run the home, you're trying to take care of the family, but there's too much work that you're doing, or you've taken on 2 jobs and it's too much for you. And it is too much. I want to say it's too much, especially with that Two of Pentacles coming up. But right now you don't see a way out of this. Now, whether this connection that's coming or it's existing, whether this connection is to do around, like that is the burden itself, or whether there's something else going on, then if there's something else going on and this connection's coming in, that means you have emotional support here. You have love, you have connection. You have someone who's, the meeting of 2 hearts. That's what comes up with these two. I almost see the 2 of Cups with these two because they each have a cup, right? So it's the 2 of Cups. And that's why we're moving on from this. If some of you are getting into a relationship in July, it kind of feels like it couldn't come at a worse time. But that's probably when you need it the most, right? That's when you need it the most, I think. This is definitely needed, this kind of emotional connection. So we have the King of Cups in the past. Now, when I get the King of Cups in the past and the Queen of Cups in the present, this might have been that one person had strong feelings about someone else. So let's take it down the relationship, love kind of angle for a moment, right? Because he doesn't always say how he feels. But he has strong feelings and he knows how he feels. There's no surprise for him. He knows how he feels. But he's not said it. And still waters run very deep with these two. What you see is not what you get with them. There's so much more going on. There's so much depth to the King and Queen of Cups. I always say that. It's like seeing the still waters of a pond and then you kind of think, oh, it must only be a few feet deep. And then you kind of jump in, it's 20 feet deep. That's how these two are. There's so much emotional depth to them. And that's what's amazing when they come up, because they see that in each other. They understand that about each other. They can connect emotionally in a way that no one else can connect to them. So we've got this king in the past, but we've got a queen coming up. And I'm just going to say it. It feels like some of you have met a really amazing heart connection. But why is it so inconvenient? That's what I would ask you. Why is it so inconvenient? Now let's step away from that love romantic angle for a moment. This, like I said, the Two of Cups, right? So it can be the same kind of aspects of that. This could be the best friend that, when you need them. And the King of Cups, emotions can be any emotion. It doesn't have to be love or happiness or joy. This could be sorrow. This could be grief. This could be any emotion that he's been, but he's going to keep it inside of himself. If it doesn't suit the situation that he's in, he's not going to bring it up. But I kind of feel like there's someone coming in now where it is being brought up. It is being brought up. If this is the same person, I usually read the court cards for the person that I'm reading for. I'm sorry I'm giving so many scenarios because it can come out in so many different ways. When you get 2 court cards like that, they can mean so many different things. And that's why it's a bit difficult when it's a general, because you're applying it to every kind of way that it can come out. Well, I can't even do every, just give you a rough idea of it. But, here, if this was someone that you needed that, to say how you feel to someone or whatever, now you can with the Queen of Cups. Because I always feel like with her, look at what's coming out of her cup. She loves unconditionally. He's trying to do what's best. He's responsible. He's a king, right? He's responsible for the kingdom. Doesn't matter if you're masculine, feminine, whatever. The genders don't come into it. It's the energy that we look at. And when we get the king and queen, they're partners. That's what we know about them. But she loves unconditionally. What does that mean? It means she's not going to be a weight. She's not going to be an extra burden on whatever's going on here. Please know that. But it feels like you think it will. You think it will. It's like almost like, oh my God, no, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this relationship right now. Or I can't do this right now. You know, even a friend, this is when you're like, I can't hang out. I don't have time. I can't. That's all I keep hearing in this reading. I can't. But as the Queen of Cups is in the present, I would urge you to please, I know there's a lot going on. I'm not going to even try to say to you there's nothing going on, because there is. You wouldn't get the 10 of Wands underlying if there wasn't. Yeah. Someone's trapped. This is so much. I'll keep getting that. Now I'm going to say even more. If this is a relationship reading and that's the strongest message I get, of course, I'm going to always... I can go a million different ways with the reading, but I always go with the one that comes through the strongest. Then it's either out of money, someone stuck in a situation, or temptation or whatever. The devil, it's temptation. If this is a work reading, like, you know, so too much work, I have to do the work, Jay, I have to pay the bills, then that's why you're stuck. That's how she got stuck. How did she get trapped in a bloody cage? Because she was looking at the shiny objects. And now when she's in that cage, she's still bloody mesmerized by the shiny objects there, by what's got her tempted, right? By what she's looking at. And yet she's so focused on that, on this stuff, that she doesn't even realize the cage doesn't have a bottom. The padlock is open. She could push this off her and she could free herself. But she can't, right? She's not looking at any of that stuff. She's just looking over here. She's facing that way, looking at, you know, what's shiny. And that's what the things that she was trying to collect, I guess, before she got caught in that cage. So yeah, that's frustrating. There's a big energy of feeling stuck, and yet also this amazing potential for this connection and emotional support and love, which, however you want to apply that. The only major arcana cards that we have so far are the Devil and the Sun. And so if we're looking at what's keeping us stuck, the money, the sex is too good, or whatever, or, you know, I'm stuck in whatever the situations, we can, codependency, addictions even, it can be. That would be quite sad, actually, meeting the most perfect person, but they have an addiction, because for someone, that's the case. But the bottom line is you're stuck. Whatever the scenario is, you feel stuck, like you can't do anything. But the Eight of Swords urges us to speak. And the King of Cups, he doesn't always speak. So the Queen of Cups, you know, with her, maybe it's now time to start expressing those feelings and talking about the feelings. Now, what you're getting with after that, and I kind of like this, I'm not saying everything is going to go away. Because if you have a look, she's kind of breaking her back there, carrying all that crap. And even this little rabbit here is juggling a lot, right? Juggling 2 pentacles, and people are kind of watching this rabbit do its thing. Now, with this coming up, it still says you may have to juggle more than one thing, but it stops being a burden. Now, the whole point, though, is with the 2 of Pentacles is, usually I would say with the 2 of Pentacles, put down one of the Pentacles, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Look at how you're feeling. 2 of Pentacles can also be a business partnership. That's one of the things I attribute the 2 of Pentacles to. Because if the 2 of Cups is an emotional connection, 2 of Pentacles is a practical connection, right? It's a business partnership where you're there for the practical reasons. But there's so much other emotional stuff that's going on here under the surface. But I just feel like no one's addressing it. No one's speaking about it. No one's saying it for whatever reason. So I don't feel like this is saying take a step back and look at the emotional stuff. Because trust me, these two are very aware of how they feel. So that's not the message coming from that 2 of Pentacles that time. But it may be that reduce some of those wands, right? The 10 of Wands. And just juggle a couple of things. Let's reduce this a little bit. Maybe the Queen of Cups comes in to help with carry the load. But there is a reduction in this. But it comes through this emotional avenue. What you're feeling, support, love. Now, I kind of get the sense with that 2 of Pentacles and the Sun coming up, there's a message of discernment here. Discernment. What do I mean by that? I mean by that is that, you know, if we're going from the 10 of Wands to the 2 of Pentacles, which is a reduction, it is going less. We're going to do a couple of Pentacles. How do we do that? With the Sun, it says, look at where there's potential for happiness. Look at where there's potential for happiness. The sun is like the lights coming on. Everything is clear. We have to be clear in our communication. We can't just hide our feelings and not do anything about it. But it's also, we shift our attention to not what got us trapped or stuck, but to what frees us, to what we want to give life to what we want to create, for where the potential for happiness is. I always call the sun the bird's eye view of the maze, where you can see everything. You can see the dead ends, you can see the way out, you can see everything, obstacles coming up. But the fact is, if you see it clearly, then you can work around it. This feels like everything's just dumped on the person. But here we're kind of pulling it apart a little bit. You know, maybe we can do this and look at the pros and cons, weigh things up, that kind of thing. Which is actually moving forward. Because with this, it's like, well, I can't do anything.